Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Haverhill Journal Live for Monday, May 11th, 2020. I'm Lindsay Paris, here with you tonight live from the studio at HC Media. We are bringing you the Haverhill Journal Live every Monday night at 7 p.m. during this stay-at-home period. Right now, this show is live streaming on Channel 22 in Haverhill at haverhillcommunitytv.org and on the HC Media Facebook page. Also, we'll be replaying the show at 5:30 p.m. and 9:30 p.m. every weekday night. So there are lots of ways to tune in and get the latest updates on what's happening in the city. As we enter the 9th week of the shutdown, public pressure to reopen the economy is mounting. But is it too soon? Today, Governor Baker released his preliminary 4-phase reopening plan that lays out a framework for opening up, with Phase 1 allowing only a limited number of businesses to open with severe restrictions in place. May 18th continues to be the date until which all non-essential businesses must remain closed. Tonight, I'll be joined by Joe Bevilaqua of the Merrimack Valley Chamber of Commerce, who will share his proposal for a back-to-business task force and a CDBG-funded grant for local businesses. Then, Ashley Hall of the Northeast Tobacco-Free Community Partnership will fill us in on the new tobacco law that's going into effect June 1st and how she is working with youth to prevent tobacco addiction. Finally, Heaventown Haverhill is keeping the music going while sheltering in place with weekly virtual concerts, which we'll hear about from organizers Andrew Ryan and Alex Sabow. But first, every week, Mayor Jim Fiorentini is joining us to give us the latest update on the COVID-19 pandemic and its impact here in Haverhill. Mayor Fiorentini, thank you for being here.
Well, the big news, of course, is Governor Baker's announcement that we're going to start reopening, and I know how much that means to people. People are down and out, they're depressed, and they need some hope, and this news gave them some hope today. We have over 900 people in Haverhill who have gotten the coronavirus. Around 400 have recovered. Sadly, 28 have died, including one person, our first city employee, a school crossing guard, Richard Pearson, who passed away over the weekend. And our deepest sympathy and condolences to his wife, his 2 sons, and his 2 grandsons. We send them our sympathy and our best.
It's difficult to see, the residents that we've, like you said, several, almost 22. So that's been challenging. But what else have you seen in the patterns so far?
Well, we see the numbers going down. We see the number of people in Haverhill who are infected going down every day. I look at the state numbers. The state has an incredible dashboard. Go to mass.gov and you can see it. And you see their numbers trending in the right direction. There was one day when it went off. You can't look at every single day. You've got to look at the overall trend. But the hospitalizations are going down. The ICU admissions are going down. Deaths are a lagging indicator for obvious reasons, but they've started to go down. The number of people tested generally is going up the day that it went down. And the number of people infected is going down. So it's all going in the right direction. Where I'm confident that a week from today, Governor Baker can start the process of reopening the economy.
I'm glad to hear that. Will the governor's update today have an impact on the reopening plans here in Haverhill on May 18th?
Yes. It's the governor that sets whether we can reopen or not us. The only things we can control are City Hall, the ball fields, that sort of thing. It's the governor who will decide what industries can open and when. And we're glad to hear this. We don't want to reopen too soon and have our people get another wave. But on the other hand, you can only stay closed for so long before you really do incredible long-term damage to people's mental health and their psyche. Lindsay, I wanted to talk tonight to the people that send me text messages, emails, Facebook messages. I see them all over Twitter, that this whole thing is some kind of a hoax, that it's all exaggerated, that it's some kind of a left wing or right wing or something hoax. And this is something that really bothers me. I want them to go with me or come with me when I get on the phone and I talk to Richard Pearson's widow. I want them to come with me, stay with me on the telephone when I talk to the widows and widowers of the 28 people that have died in our nursing homes, our hospitals, and at home after being afflicted. I want them to talk to the 900 people in Haverhill, some of them nursing home residents, some of them fairly young. Richard Pearson, the fellow that died, was not that old. He was in his mid-60s. I want them to go with me and talk with me on the phone to these folks and tell them that it's a hoax. This, as Dr. Fauci said 2 months ago, this is serious business. This is not a hoax. This is not the flu. This is not something that we can wave our hands and make it magically go away. This requires some very serious attention. And that's what everybody in government, from the president on down, is giving it the serious attention it needs.
Mayor Fiorentini, thank you so much for being here tonight, and our condolences to Richard Pearson and all the other families, who have suffered during this crisis, but wise words. You can stay up to date with the mayor by subscribing to his blog at jimfiorentini.wordpress.com, and you can read his daily update posts on the Haverhill news page on Facebook. During the pandemic, the effect on the local economy continues to be a major point of concern. Joe Bevilaqua, president of the Merrimack Valley Chamber of Commerce, has been working with small businesses throughout the shutdown and has proposed a back-to-business task force as a way to help these business owners. Joe, welcome to the show.
Lindsay, thank you very much for having me, and thank you to your viewers. The reason why is very simple, and the mayor is doing a fantastic job, I just want to say, in terms of leading the community. The worst issue we face right now, outside of the issue of health, is unemployment. Nearly 1 of every 4 employees in the state of Massachusetts are now unemployed. These are the highest numbers of unemployment since the Great Depression. The problem we have is that it has a devastating impact upon employees, and not just the businesses, but the employees themselves, working men and women who cannot work in their place of business because they've been shut down because of the pandemic, the COVID virus. Many small businesses cannot afford to take on additional debt because they're simply not working, and they can't afford to pay the employees that they need to pay. At the same time, what we need to do is we need to make sure that when and if businesses open, and we hope very shortly, that the customers and the employees both alike will feel safe. That's why I've suggested establishing a local back to business task force. So not only do we take the information the state gives us, but we then take that and we add to it any information the city has to give to it, so that the employees, the customers, and most importantly, everyone in the community knows what the requirements will be to open a business, what the requirements will be to go and get business at that place, and at the same time, make sure that we help those businesses not be severely impacted. We cannot be more restricted, for example, than what New Hampshire is doing, because otherwise people will simply run over the border. But we have so many unemployed, we need to turn the curve on unemployment. We need to put people back to work. So I've suggested the task force is a way to help put working people to work. I've also suggested that we use a federally funded program, so it's not local tax dollars that would pay for this, but a federally funded program that's being used in other cities and towns called CDBG, the Community Development Block Grant Program, which will receive more funds from the federal government to create an incentive program, a stimulus program for local small businesses. And it becomes a grant, not a loan. Many small businesses are concerned that the Small Business Administration's PPP loan program is very difficult to actually apply for and support, because they may not be in a position to put all their employees back to work at the same time, and that would then violate the rules of the grant of the loan application. So what I'm suggesting is using community development block grant funds, create a small business loan grant program, and use it as a stimulus, as an incentive to help these small struggling businesses get back to work, open, and establish it. The grant does not get repaid. They cannot be used for a business that already owes a lot of money to the city, that owes any debt to the city. These are valid operating businesses that are waiting to go back to business. And I think because of the fact that it's community development block grant funding and not City of Haverhill taxpayer money, it's more amenable to everyone. Everyone wants to see businesses back open. We all want to see them open safe. The customers want to see them safely open. The employees want to see them safely open. And the city needs to see it open. We cannot allow this unemployment to go on. We cannot allow stores to remain shuttered, because the economy is going to take devastating impact. The mayor will tell you at some point in time what the anticipated or estimated revenue decline in the state of Massachusetts will be, upwards of maybe $6 billion, what the decline in tax collections in Haverhill is going to be. Companies aren't able to pay their mortgages. They're not able to pay their rent. Employees aren't able to make their payments. So we need to put working men and women back to work. My task force is something I think will be serving as a guide, as an assistance, to develop a strategy and a phased reopening plan that will provide information to everybody on a timely basis well before the time is due. And more importantly, I think the grant program helps those businesses with a stimulus to get them back open. So that's my idea. And I know I've had discussions with the mayor about this. I discussed it at the city council meeting. I've talked to people around the city. And obviously, people are very anxious to see businesses open and get back to business. So thank you, Lindsay, for the opportunity.
Oh, absolutely, Joe. And definitely a fantastic suggestion to get businesses back out there. Do you have any sort of idea of a timeline as to when this may be able to happen?
Well, obviously, as the mayor mentioned, the governor is going to tell us when, in fact, businesses will be able to be open. And he'll develop it under a 4-phase program based on the information that I've been able to obtain and we've all become aware of. So my suggestion is that the task force should be very much available quickly. And at the CDBG program, I would encourage the mayor to begin looking at that program right now so that anyone that is ready to open, once they get the word out from the governor, they can apply to the city for the CDBG grant program and they can get back to business. It's going to be a phased approach. Obviously, not everyone's going to be able to open at one time. And obviously, it's not going to be like turning on a switch. They all come back to work. But a company that is in good standing with the city, that wants to get back to business, we should do everything we possibly can to help them. This is something that affects everybody. Because think of all the people you know that work in local businesses here in the city of Haverhill and around the region. It's critical to put people back to work. And this unemployment was not caused by them at all. It was not caused by the city, the state. It was caused by this virus, and it's having a devastating impact. There is speculation that the unemployment rate could go as high as 25%, and that it may take 2 or 3 or 4 years or more to get back to full employment where we were just earlier this year, back in January, we were in the 2.8 numbers or so. It was unbelievable. So
Right.
It's just an idea to help people.
No, it's such a difficult time for small businesses and definitely a lot of support. Joe, is there a place where business owners or others can reach out to you to support this
Well,
initiative?
they can call me anytime, but obviously I would think that if the mayor goes forward with the idea to use community development block grant monies for the grant, it'll be through the community development block grant office, I believe, or the city's economic development office. Right now, the most important thing is to be ready. And until the governor gives his announcement, I've talked to the governor's people, to the Secretary of Economic Development and others, and I've encouraged them to get the word out as soon as they possibly can so businesses will know what the requirements will be so they can get ready. They can let their employees know. They can get their stores ready. They may need to be sanitized. They'll need to have personal protection equipment on staff. We need to make sure the employees know what's going to be required of them. We need to make sure both the customers and the employees feel safe when they go to work. But most importantly, we've got to put people back to work so they can pay their bills. They can start saving. They can pay for their kids' education. They can pay their mortgage and their rent payments, car payments, pay for their education, and buy food. So I think it's a great idea. Right. So thank you, Lindsay, for letting me have this opportunity.
Thank you so much, Joe. Thank you for being with us and providing assistance to these vital local businesses when they need it most. And you can watch for updates here on HC Media on the Back to Business Task Force as it progresses. The rise of vaping and flavored tobacco usage by teens and young adults has become a major cause for concern in Massachusetts families, as usage often leads to long-term addiction. On June 1st, new tobacco usage laws that directly address this issue are going into effect. Our next guest is Ashley Hall, Program Manager of the Northeast Tobacco-Free Partnership, and she will speak more about how the partnership is working to educate teens and families, and also the possibly dangerous intersection of smoking and COVID-19. Hi, Ashley. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you for having me, Lindsay. Good to be here.
So, what is the Northeast Tobacco-Free Partnership, and what kind of work do you do here in Haverhill?
Sure. So I am the program manager of the Northeast Tobacco-Free Community Partnership. I am funded by the Massachusetts Department of Public Health, but I'm housed out of Greater Lawrence Family Health Center. And I serve all of Northeast Massachusetts. So it includes 49 cities and towns, which includes Haverhill. And I serve as a free tobacco prevention and education resource. So I give presentations to school staff, parents, community organizations, and work with them on educating the public to be tobacco free.
This is a really important issue right now. And, I've heard so many parents worried about their children, parents worried about high schoolers, even middle schoolers using vaping, using flavored tobacco products, which are designed to appeal to children, it appears. And right now, especially with everything going on with COVID-19, why is it still important to address tobacco use?
Absolutely. It is especially important to address tobacco use now because since coronavirus attacks the lungs, smoking and vaping of tobacco or any substance for that matter puts individuals at a higher risk for becoming infected with COVID-19. In addition, if a person catches COVID-19, they are more likely to develop a severe case of the illness than someone who does not smoke or vape or tobacco or any substance, because smoking is directly inhaled into the lungs, and that's exactly where coronavirus attacks as well. So this chance for getting infected increases and the chances of recovering decreases.
Wow. So what is the new tobacco law in Massachusetts that is going into effect on June 1st? Tell us a little bit more about that.
Yes, so on June 1st, there will be a new state law in Massachusetts that affects where people can buy tobacco and vaping products. If someone has been using flavored tobacco, they may have noticed that back in January, flavored vaping products were off the shelf. That's the piece of the law that went into effect right away. The new information is that on June 1st, all mint, menthol, and wintergreen tobacco products will only be sold in a licensed smoking bar for on-site consumption. So what that means is that all mint and menthol tobacco products, so that's everything from menthol cigarettes like Newports to mint and wintergreen chewing tobacco, will only be at a place where you go to the smoking bar, you buy them there, and they have to be smoked there and used there as well. They can't be bought there and brought home. The reason for this law is because the tobacco industry has a long history of strategically and successfully targeting communities of color, LGBTQ communities, and youth, like you mentioned, with their minty products. Menthol tobacco is an easier product to start and a harder product to quit. It makes a longer addiction and a harsher effects in the lungs. So for Massachusetts to be the first state in the country to include menthol in this tobacco law is extremely monumental, but it's really important for the public to know that it's actually 3 weeks from today that those products will be off of the shelf.
Yeah, that's excellent news. I'm sure all the parents listening today are very happy to hear about that. And it's also great for adults because it can help prevent, further tobacco usage. And I understand that the Northeast Community Partnership also offers some special resources available to help people become tobacco-free.
Yes, and I'm so glad that you mentioned that. It's still important for adults to quit because as soon as you quit, the body will start having positive effects. So it's never too late to quit, right? And it's common that it takes multiple attempts to have a successful tobacco-free attempt. So there is help available and it is free. So anyone who wants to quit vaping, smoking, or using any other tobacco products can call the Massachusetts Smokers Helpline. 1-800-QUIT-NOW is the number, or they can enroll online and use an online component if they're not ready to pick up the phone yet. The Quit line also has coaching, but it also can deliver free medication like the patch and the gum to help people quit smoking. They can get up to 8 weeks of that delivered them into the mail for free to help with their quit attempt. But there's also help available specifically for youth and young adults who are trying to quit vaping because it's a little bit of different for a young adult brain than it is for an older adult. So This Is Quitting is a program powered by the Truth Initiative, and it is a free and confidential texting program because often youth aren't ready to pick up the phone and verbally talk to somebody, but This Is Quitting will send automated texts to a youth or young adult cell phone, which we know teens often do have their cell phones on them. And the other youth vaping program is My Life, My Quit. And that is texting and or over the phone. They can get coaching to help them quit a vaping attempt as well. If people are interested in learning more about those resources, they can go to getoutraged.org, where it will have all the information that I just explained.
These are fantastic resources for our community. Thank you so much, Ashley, for coming on the Haverhill Journal.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
And you can also visit makesmokinghistory.org to enroll for free support to quit smoking. If you love local music and art, you probably know about Heaventown Haverhill, the informal local community of artists and musicians that host performances and art shows all around town. When the quarantine hit, it didn't stop Heaventown Haverhill from performing. Instead, they moved over to Zoom, where their virtual open mics and variety shows have been happening weekly. Andrew Ryan and Alex Sabow, Heaventown organizers, are here tonight to share this experience with us. Alex and Andrew, thank you for coming on the show tonight.
Thanks for having us.
How's it going?
Pretty good. So you have this amazing, talented community that makes up Heaventown. So Alex, can you tell us a little bit more about what you do and how it all got started?
I think it started maybe 5-6 years ago, just a group of friends. We're looking for some kind of, a bigger sense of community. And so we brought, friends, bands together, and we kind of set up shows kind of underground, in barns and backyards, basements, what have you. And then, from then it kind of moved to, all ages events or, bar gigs and whatnot. So it's been pretty cool.
It's really fun because it's like everything is kind of like very kind of funky and different, and you're not trying to do it with lots of money or anything. You're basically doing it, with a low budget, but it makes it more exciting and a lot more fun. So, so I'll go over to Andrew now. So Andrew, when the shutdown hit, you had to cancel some of your in-person performances. We were going to have one at HC Media that had to get canceled. How did you make the transition over to Zoom, and how has that whole process gone?
It's gone pretty well. When we kind of had to cancel our shows that we had, we felt like the energy was still there to do something. We just had to figure out what to do. And so I just did a bunch of research on kind of the best platform, the best resources to do what we normally do in person online and still give people a chance to connect like that.
And how has have you had a lot of participation? How many performers do you generally have every night?
Yeah, so we've been doing a weekly open mic, and this Wednesday is going to be our 8th week in a row doing it. And we usually have about 8 or 9 performers every night. So, people, we've seen that people have been wanting an outlet to engage. They still want to play, and people still want to hear their local musicians. And we've had people play from all over in like North Dakota, I think Chicago.
Wow.
Yeah.
So they're not even all from Haverhill. That's amazing. I mean,
most of them are from Haverhill. Yeah. But
yeah, I've seen some of them myself, and I've come to some of them. I don't play, but I watch, and they're really great. And it's nice to see live music still happening, even if it's virtual then, but it's all real time and everybody's together, which is the fun part. And we actually made up a quick compilation of some of the recent performances from Heaventown to show the audience so they can see what you've been working on, and we're going to run that now.
If you're just tuning in, welcome to the first ever Haverhill virtual variety show.
Looking back at the star, feels like honey, by the moon so big and bright and sunny.
Mothers, don't you worry. Take care of your sons and daughters.
Potted plants gone mellow and yellow to waxy corn, and my woman was all gone, and the bottles bled like corpses.
Make me an angel, the flowers from Montgomery. Make me a poster of that old rodeo.
I love it. Everyone in Haverhill is so talented. I mean, all these musicians and artists, seriously, it's like you're watching something that's, coming out of Los Angeles or something. So Alex, can anyone watch these performances? Do you have to be a member of a group, or where can you go to get to them, if someone's looking for live music?
It's all free. It's virtual. It's on our Heaventown Haverhill Facebook page. So once you go on the page, it'll show you that the live concert's happening. So it's free to everybody.
And they're Wednesdays at 7:00, right?
Yep. Wednesdays, 7 to 9.
Okay.
Sometimes yeah.
Are they the same one, or is it two separate ones at 7 and 9? Sorry.
Wait, say that again?
Is it the same concert playing twice, or is it a separate concert, one at 7 and one at 9?
No, it's 7 to 9, and then sometimes it runs a little long. Just
got
one
it.
show.
Okay. So, someday we'll all be able to gather again in person. Are there any future plans in the works for events like post-shutdown?
Yeah, we definitely want to get, we're thinking about doing like another all-day like DIY punk show. We did one a few years ago at the Elks Lodge, which is a really good hit. So we kind of want to do one of those again.
Sounds fun. All right. We'll look forward to that. Alex, Andrew, thank you so much. It was really great to have you both on.
Thanks for having us.
Take care.
And like I said, I've been at a couple of their virtual open mics, and it's just really uplifting to watch this community performing together again, real time, even if it isn't in person. Hopefully, we'll all be there to watch the next open mic this Wednesday at 7. And
Also,
that is. Oh, go ahead.
oh, sorry. We've also got some weekend shows too. So every other weekend we do another kind of variety show with some comedy and other musicians. So this Saturday is another show.
I saw that advertised. Okay, so that's Saturday. What time?
8:30.
8:30 on Saturdays.
Right in our Facebook page again. Yeah.
Thanks again, Alex and Andrew. And that's our show for tonight. Thank you so much for joining us. And as always, keep watching HC Media for up-to-date information, public service announcements, series programs, and more. I'll be back next Monday at 7 p.m. for our next Haverhill Journal Live. I'm Lindsay Paris. Have a great evening, everybody, and stay safe. Good night.